G'day everyone, Simon Fox from Lifestyle Essentials, and I'm sitting here this morning with Chris Pearce, who is the Area Fitness Manager for Fitness First here in Victoria. Pearce has been in the industry probably for as long as the dinosaurs have been walking the earth, like me.
Yes, almost.
And
yes.
he moved down from Queensland and took over this role in 2005, I think it was.
2006.
2006.
Pretty close, yeah.
So Chris, can you tell us a little bit about how Fitness First works, the model of how trainers would start working at a Fitness First club?
Yeah, for sure, Simon. So look, guys, it's pretty simple. I'd probably suggest coming into our clubs, if need be, halfway through your course. So halfway through doing your Cert 4 is probably best. And look to ask for the manager in the club. So ask for the personal training manager or the fitness manager from there. And then look to get some practical experience. From there, if you get some practical experience, you get a good gauge of how our model works, but the manager also gets to see what you're like. And if you're a fantastic potential employee with the right attitude and the things that we're looking for, we can then look to offer you something we call the level 1 role.
Okay, so you said employee, if they're potential employees.
Yeah,
A lot of clubs don't employ people in the fitness industry. A lot of clubs, rent out space.
Yep.
And the trainer has to run their own business.
Yep.
And I know many years ago Fitness First used to do that.
Yes.
So how does that work now with Fitness First? Because I know the model's changed. So let's take us through that.
Again, good point, Simon. So the model has changed. We still do have the franchise model, and we still do ultimately want trainers to be running their own business, which ultimately is where they can earn the most amount of money. Yeah, absolutely. They can dictate what they charge, how many people they want to train, who they want to train. So ultimately that's best for a trainer. But we do have the level 1 model, which is, as mentioned, is an employed model for 6 months. So a trainer gets the opportunity to become employed in a part-time capacity for a minimum of 15 hours per week. And in essence, get to learn the ropes of how to run a business.
Like an apprenticeship.
Like an apprenticeship, yeah. So they're not paid the absolute greatest amount. When their money is made, well guys, your money is made when you become a level 2 trainer, which we call it, under the franchise model. But you have 6 months to earn and learn, we call it. So learn how to be a trainer, grow, develop, learn from the manager, learn from the other trainers in the club, make mistakes, which is important, without having to pay a rental or anything like that, and develop yourself during that time.
So trainers can actually do personal training in this?
They can, yeah, absolutely. So it is 15 hours on the floor, which is where they get to engage with our members. They get to take classes, so we do put them in front of people, take things like bioscore and leads that we give them.
Well, that's really where you're going to build your reputation, and really where you make your money is by building rapport and communicating with people and that sort of thing.
You get yourself known in the club rather than just starting from nothing. And yeah, as you mentioned, Simon, you can sell personal training on top of that, and you can be doing up to 40 hours if you want. But generally I find when guys get up around sort of 30 or so hours, they're wanting to transition to that next stage of PT, which they can do before the 6-month mark. It's just capped at 6 months. Yes.
So what happens at the end of 6 months if they haven't
look, at the end of 6 months, guys need to make a decision whether they want to become a franchise personal trainer running their own business, or they move on, in essence, is where it's at. Most guys have probably made that decision before that, because if you're halfway through 6 months and you still haven't got any clients, and you need clients to be a trainer, so that's usually where they make a decision.
The reality is in the industry, trainers are really struggling to stay in the industry long term. To make a career full time and really just pay the bills and live. In a lot of clubs. So if you've got 6 months sort of to get in there and give it a try and really give it a good kick, if you're not earning enough money to pay rent and to live at that stage in time, then you possibly, you need to look at your skills, you need to look at what you're doing and reshape a few things.
Or just our model is not for you. Maybe a different model is suited to that person, for sure.
Which also brings me to the point too, that different clubs are going to fit different people better. So for example, you look at this club here at Richmond, it's a very different club, say, to, for example, Chadstone or Glen Waverley. So, one of the things I'd imagine that you would do is you would, really match people to clubs as well, so they get their ideal fit.
Without a doubt, Simon. I actually encourage guys, if they're looking to come in and do prac work with us or to look at a club, is to take a look at a couple of different clubs. And there's probably 3 things I try to get guys to have a think about when it comes to the right club for them. One is, do they form a connection with the manager? Because the manager is the person that's going to grow them, develop them, mould them. So that's one. Two is, did they feel comfortable in the club environment? Because as you said, all clubs are different in their capacity. And then thirdly, did they feel like they can build a membership base from the type of members there? If they can determine those three things, and we give guys a great opportunity to do that, not only through the level 1 pathway in 6 months, but even prior to that, we encourage guys to do prac work for maybe the last couple of months of their course, which will give them a good gauge of what that club's all about. Yeah, for sure.
So what do you think the biggest barriers are for trainers getting started in the fitness industry with the Fitness First model? To being successful full-time trainers, what would be the biggest barrier?
Yeah. Look, the biggest barrier I still believe is probably the ability of trainers to connect with people. That's one.
So rapport building skills.
Rapport building. So they definitely need to have that ability to connect with people, and then just probably a little bit of their attitude and their drive. They need to work hard. So guys, you need to work hard. You need to work hard, and you need to build connections with people, and you need to take advantage of other trainers' knowledge in the club, the manager's knowledge in the club. And I think guys probably don't take as much advantage of the other people's knowledge as much as they can. They probably lack a little bit of the people skills, which I do agree sometimes is natural. Some people are better at it than others, but you can develop certain aspects of that. And then thirdly, I just think guys plateau a little bit in their work ethic. They've got to keep driving until they are successful, because it doesn't happen overnight, for sure.
Yeah. And one of the things I think for a lot of trainers is getting hungry, being uncomfortable where you are and getting hungry and getting out there and doing it. So what's the difference between the guy that makes it and the guy that doesn't make it, other than hard work? And the other thing I think a lot of people don't understand is it's a long day in the fitness industry. We work early morning, we work lunch, we work nights. So sometimes it's just a fact that people discover it's just not what they wanted, it's not what they expected. So what's that difference, do you think, between the success and the unsuccessful person? Because I walk through the club here and I see guys that I taught nearly 8, 9, 10 years ago still working in the industry successful. So what do you think?
What it is? Yeah, well, you said obviously besides hard work. Hard work is one. I also believe consistency. So consistently doing things well and finding things that work for them. And then again, it comes at people skills. That ability to build a relationship is still key. And the second thing, when running, especially when you become a franchise trainer at Fitness First, because that's running your own business, which, as you've alluded to, is a lot of the models out there, is that consistent ability to build a business and finding something that works for them. So, as you said, Simon, the guys that have been here for 8, 10 years, which we've got guys for that long, are great at building rapport with people. They do work hard. They keep themselves upskilled, but they've also found a way to tick their business over. So whether that be from generating business from referrals, walking the floor still, and other means, they've found a way that works for them. The guys that probably unsuccessful can seem to build a client base and get to 25 sessions, but they tend to drop off because they don't find a way to maintain that.
And what do you see being the average length of time a trainer would stay with it? Now, I know Fitness First is different to everyone else, so what would you say is the average length of time a trainer would stay with Fitness First?
Yeah. Look, I'm happy to share some previous stats too with you, Simon. Like previously, before we implemented the level 1 model, which has been around now for about 3 years, we probably had an average length of stay of about 9 months of a trainer, which was not quite the length of a 12-month contract that we asked from guys, which we found wasn't acceptable and we didn't feel was the best, obviously. So since implementing the level 1 model, which gives guys that ability to earn while they learn and develop better, our average length of stay is sort of between 2.5 and 3 years with guys now. So generally above the industry average, and we believe it's that development they get initially.
So what then happens after 2 or 3 years? You see trainers either going off and doing their own thing outside the club, or do you see trainers sort of going, oh, this isn't for me, or they're burnt out? What do you think?
Yeah. Look, I can never say that no one doesn't not want to do it anymore. There's definitely guys that do 2 or 3 years with us and then decide to do something else. As you said, maybe it's burnout, maybe they want to try something different potentially. But we do have a bit of a challenge with guys outgrowing our model and wanting to open up their own studio. And there are quite a lot of guys out there that are running their own studios quite successfully, and they were able to do it from the skills that they learnt at Fitness First directly beforehand. Yeah.
So, looking at Fitness First across Victoria, can you give everyone a bit of an idea of the average sort of rents that they would look at paying, and also what sort of money that they'd be able to generate being a Fitness First trainer?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm not going to give you maybe a dollar figure for the year, because that can vary depending on the trainer. Session wise, we'd probably vary we'll talk about a 45-minute session here, guys. So probably varies from around $65 anywhere up to close to $100 for a 45-minute session, with the average probably being around $80 for a 45-minute session. And most of the trainers would average about 25 sessions per week. That's with guys that are the ones that are probably doing 15 sessions a week, taking that into consideration, and the ones that are doing 45, 50, so probably average of 25. So the guys, you can do the sums from there as to what they're working. Rent-wise,
which isn't a bad part-time income, is it?
No, it isn't a bad. Yeah, exactly. For 25 hours a week, it's still not full-time. Look, they do have to work hard to get to that position, though. Obviously, as you mentioned. And
as we said before, they're running their own business. They've still got 25 hours a week of clients. Is probably around about 35 hours a week of work. Yeah,
they've still got admin, planning, other stuff related to it that you don't see. So absolutely. When it comes to the rental for the trainers out there, it varies depending on the club. So our city clubs, the rent's quite a little bit higher than the more suburban clubs, because they have the ability generally to charge a bit more, larger membership bases. So the rent can vary from around $350 a week to $400 a week is the range on most of our clubs.
So that hasn't actually changed much in the last 5 years?
No, not really. It's still around 4 or 5 clients so take 4 or 5 clients out of your 25, and that's your rental there.
Awesome. All right. Well, Chris, how would someone contact you to come and have a chat to you about either work placement or looking at career opportunities with Fitness First?
Yeah, look, it's easy, guys. You got 2 options there if they do want to come and do either work placement or work through Fitness First. One is to call me on my mobile. Happy to give that one out, 0434 075 748. Or they're also, Simon, able to email me, guys, which is probably a better option, because I'll admit I do get calls from a lot of people, and sometimes when I get a number that I haven't recognised, I don't answer it, but I always do call people back if they leave a message. So they can also email me my email address, which is Chris Pearce, so CHRIS PEARCE @fitnessfirst.com.au.
Awesome. And of course, they can drop into any Fitness First club and just speak to the PT manager.
Look, absolutely. Feel free to go and call a club or pop into a club and just ask for the fitness manager or the PT manager, and they'll be able to help the guys out as well, either with prac or job opportunities.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, Chris. Appreciate you giving us some information and being open and honest about how Fitness First works and the stats.
Nice.
And hopefully that's given you guys a little bit of an insight to how the industry works and how you can become more successful in whatever you do, whether you choose a model like Fitness First or you have your own studio or you look at other gym models. Anyway, we'll look forward to talking to you next time. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.